Hello, this is Hiro. Remember my experiment with Ginkgo cuttings? I just took a bunch of straight stick-like things and shoved it into a pot, and for some reason 50% of them succeeded. Well, I got a bunch more of these, but I thought I'd go ahead and bring a few samples. Well, sometimes you just experiment, and when you're expecting most to fail or completely fail and they take off, then now you got a problem what to do with it. Okay, brief history. We're almost into June, but I think it was January 1st of last year, I just took straight branches like that came off of pruning. So I got it bundled up with a rubber band, and then must have been 20, 30, 40 in each bundle, and then just stuck it in straight lava rock and put a cover over it. Well, I expect everything to fail, but it was 50%. Basically 50% took off or was rooted. Okay, now, what I've been recommending people that have purchased some of these is not to take it out of this container, because when I put it in there, it just barely had roots, and it usually takes a while for it to fully develop. So, but because you want to know how far this has come along, I'm going to pull this one out. But those of you that have purchased these, do not do this. I'm just doing this to show you how it might be, okay? So most of the time, hang tight. So whatever you do, do not pull on this, because most likely there won't be enough. So what you do is you use the weight. So, see, there is not much root yet. So I was correct in saying do not disturb the roots on this yet. So I'm going to repot it, but I could see that it should be a little bit higher. So I'll put the soil on the bottom and put it back gently. So yes, those of you that have purchased this from me this year, do not do what I just did. Okay, this is good for scientific reason, right? See, it is coming back. Okay, so now that it's been thoroughly disturbed, I don't think I could put it back into the same container with all this height. So I am going to shorten it. Okay, then I put it in a smaller container, and then the soil line used to be here, it's going to be down here. And then I'll tilt it. Okay, so I slightly tilt it. So this is a new line, right? And then let this grow, and then we're going to turn it again and again. So I still think that you should not disturb those, but since I had to, I did this. So what to do with something like this? I think the simplest thing would be, well, it doesn't have a heck of a taper or anything like that, right? But you see this nice branch here? We could kind of cut it off here, and then the taper. This is relatively straight, so we probably want to make this taper sort of smooth. We don't know, because this is just for the future, but you can see what I'm doing, right? Okay, this is all the same batch. I had a bigger piece of wood, So it looks bigger. This was all done at the same time. This was a thin piece, this was a thicker piece. And then it's already got some sort of movement and taper. I think we want to continue on either here or here. No, I think it's better here because this run is a little bit on the long side. And you know, the ginkgos are very fast growing. So I think now we got a line that is rather attractive. Okay. Okay, at this point, because we know there's not that much root in growing yet, I don't like to do too many things up here that can disturb this and ultimately could damage the plant. So I was thinking, how about if we put some strong movement? And so what I'm thinking is well, I could either use the stick. I think I'll use the stick. I'll go get the stick and come back. I got the stick, and what we're gonna do is put it in here. This way, the stick itself will give it some strength, right? And then I'm gonna tie down here. Always start at the base, tie really tight, and then we're gonna go like so, and then get the movement. Okay, so I have it tied down below and up halfway up. Okay, so you see what I did, right? Okay, so now we got our movement. Of course, there's not much taper. What we're gonna do at this point is to cut the apex. It might even be better here, but it's okay. And what that does, if you notice, up on top, it was growing rather vigorously before, right? And then now, when you do that, it will transfer so that all these will start to get more vigorous. So as we are developing this in the future, let these grow really long, not so long up here, then we should get our taper. The more foliage you have, that area will fatten. So we want these to get really long to draw the energy to fatten this up. And same thing here. Unfortunately, this guy here is in the wrong plane, so I'm gonna shorten it because I didn't want to take it off completely. But this also will draw the energy. So if this kept going, then these will not do as much of the function as without that, or at least shorter. So that's the theory behind what we're doing now. So we got our movement. We're going to start working on our taper, but we store our iffy down in the ground line or down in the ground. So I have to be very careful. Those of you that like to wire this, you could get a little more dramatic lines, but if that's the case, I would wait another year. When you start to see roots start to come out here, that's a good sign that this whole thing is solid. And we already know from this experience that there was not that much roots. Okay, so those are all the things you have to consider when you're working on material. Hopefully you get something out of this little short chapter on what to do with too much ginkgo cuttings. Well, like I was saying, I didn't know he was going to take. That was just, I thought it was a long shot, but hey, it was a 50% success rate. Anyway, I got a bunch more of these, so I'll have to come up with different ideas. But basically, I gave you some good indicators of what you can do. Okay, so I'll see you again real soon in another chapter. So this was the ginkgo cuttings from last year. So this has been a year and a half from the time I took the cuttings. And yeah, I just got too many of them.